Hariyo, Hariyo, Hariyo. Hello, my friends. It's raining here, not even very little, but it's not a heavy, heavy downpour comes, we should be safe here. Let's talk about compassion. In most of the religions, it's very much encouraged compassion. The whole Mahayana Buddhism is very strongly into compassion. And yet, people don't really know what is compassion. Because there are things that are seemingly compassion, but it's not compassion. If there is somewhere something terrible happening, and we are aware of it, and then we feel all pity for the people, it has the tendency within no time to turn into self-pity without people being aware of it. I see something terrible. Oh, it's so terrible. I feel pity. And then, without being aware, I start to feel pity for myself to have to see these terrible things. This is not compassion. If somebody close to us suffers, and then we go, we are with that person, and we also start to suffer, then actually we're just adding more suffering. And yet, compassion is being given such a high priority in the religious and even in the spiritual teaching. What does it mean to have really compassion? Compassion means that capacity to see living, feeling beings in pain. But then if we ourselves being sucked into that same state, we're just adding more pain. It doesn't help them, it doesn't help us, that doesn't help anyone. If, on the other hand, we can see suffering and at the same time are capable of remaining in that space, connected with that space that is not affected by anything, then actually that is real compassion. But how can you say, if you are not affected, that this is compassion? Because compassion is not an emotion. Compassion is a very powerful tool to expand our own consciousness, our own experience, and also to help people who are in distress. If we see somebody suffering, and we see that suffering, we feel that suffering, and at the same time, we are capable to stay rooted in that space that is not allowing suffering, that doesn't suffer ever, then something very beautiful flows from you to that other suffering person, to that suffering being, and they are being helped by it. They may not be aware of it. They may think that you are not expressing enough of pity, not expressing enough how terrible it is for them, what poor beings they are, but actually you helping anyone who suffers most. If you can see that suffering, but you yourself are not being sucked into depression, into negativity, into suffering. If somebody feels miserable and I start to feel miserable because of that, then I'm just adding more misery. This is not compassion. If somebody feels miserable and I'm remaining rooted in that space where there is simply well-being, and I connect with that suffering being, then something very nice is happening to that person. And they will feel gradually more and more comforted. Even if you don't do much, even if you don't say much, simply because of that energetic contact, because something very beautiful, something that comes out of the real, of the essence, flows to them. There is nothing emotional about compassion. Of course, there are emotions that are coming. If we see pain, if we see terrible things, there are emotions that are coming. But if we are capable of not being overwhelmed by those emotions, that we can see those emotions coming, being there and going and changing all the time. But if we are rooting our attention in that which is not changing, that is real compassion. It's more powerful than emotion. It's prior to emotion. It's much more profound than emotion. Sometimes fear may come. It may be a spontaneous happening. We see somebody really in distress and tears may come. But in spite of that, behind that, prior to that, there is that space that is not affected, and we can be aware of that in this situation. Compassion is a force. To be capable of being really compassionate, it means that we have to be really alert and strong. It's not letting ourselves go in some emotional weakness. When we see what's happening in certain places in the world, how people are being bereft of their home, of food, of their loved ones, there may be an emotional reaction. One may feel like crying, and yet at the same time, we can be aware there is that space here, and also in all those people that is not affected. And if we can connect with that and see the suffering, then we are sending something beautiful that is supporting them, that is helping them. You have the courage to deal with the situation instead of falling into total despair. Compassion is strength. There is no emotional weakness in it. When in the beginning with Amma, hardly any outsiders were coming, just from the region. And 3 times a week, we did the Krishna bhavas and then the Devi bhavas. And she was standing there as Krishna in the temple, and the villagers would come and many would cry, and he was there, Krishna smiling, playing with them. Then, as the Divine Mother, sometimes she was acting very concerned and acting very moved emotionally. And one of the brahmacharis asked her, Amma, what do you feel when all these village women come and cry? As soon as they come over the doorstep, they start to cry. He said, I'm not feeling. And he couldn't believe it. What? The Divine Mother. He said, no, I don't feel much. It was very difficult for that brahmachari at that time to understand that this is not cruelty, this is strength. It's not that she has cut off that awareness of what is happening in those people. But she was sitting there and petting them and sometimes even having tears with them. But she said, I'm not feeling well. She simply was compassionate. And those people who came, they would cry out their stuff and they would go out comforted. If she had been very emotional and getting sucked into their stories, she could not have done what she had done, and she could not have helped those people the way she helped. But being rooted in that divine essence and having the people crying out their sorrows and just connecting with them, seeing what is happening and connecting, the people felt like a burden is taken off their shoulders. They got up and went out and were smiling. And after that, when she started to go around and hug millions of people and taking from everybody all that stuff that came, if she had gotten emotionally involved, we would have never could have done what we did. Having so many people, and as long as there were less, they could tell their sorrows. After that, it went very fast, but still they were unburdening their sorrow. And she just let it happen and being there like a rock, being the loving mother, compassionate, seeing their pain, but at the same time being like a rock. And that strength was helping people. That strength was comforting people. And everyone can aspire to be so in that direction. We may not be capable like a Nama with hundreds and thousands of people coming and pouring their sorrow on us, on our shoulders. But we can act like this in our families, in our friends, environment. We can act like this with the people, with the plants, with the animals, whatever, whoever we are meeting. But instead of being sucked in their emotion and their troubles, that we can stay rooted in that immovable space. And from here flows real love. From here flows real beauty. From here flows real strength. And people get helped and comforted and encouraged by this. Compassion is not pity. Pity is an emotion and it's overwhelming, and soon one starts to pity oneself. Oh, it's terrible what is happening. Without being aware of it, poor me that I have to confront this situation. Compassion is strength. One doesn't lose that inner beauty, that inner strength, but is firmly rooted in it and let it flow out and support and help and heal. Okay, spiritual path that is very much into compassion, even if not everybody on that path understands what it is, but the root of it is not to teach people to become emotional, to become emotionally weak, to be blown away by whatever is happening. In contrary, this is a great spiritual achievement to develop through compassion. You have that capacity, that sensitivity to see the pain, to see the suffering, but at the same time, the strength not to get pushed out of our equilibrium, but to remain in that strength and radiate that inner beauty that should be there in everybody, that is there in everybody, but unfortunately, in so many people, in so many beings, it's covered up so deeply that they have hardly any conscious access to it. Compassion doesn't mean we have to go out and round and look where can we do something good. By all means, if the situation comes and somebody is in need of help, let's give them a helping hand. But we don't have to go out and try to practice compassion by wondering what can I do, what good things can I do. Just be natural, be yourself, be at peace, rooted in yourself, and then it happens spontaneously when the situation asks for it. This is real compassion. Okay, I drop this into the subject, and I'm asking you, my friend, is there anybody who would like to come and say something? You're welcome to do so. But it's not so easy. I talk and talk, and then suddenly I stop and say, is there anyone who wants to talk? Right now, when we look what is happening on this planet, it is so easy You sometimes feel when negativity is creeping in. You feel a despair creeping in, thinking, how can we get out of this situation? But we need not be afraid to that. We just have to remember there is something in me, there is something in everybody that is not affected by all this. Let's connect with this, and that is the best way how we can influence that the situation could improve, not by feeling very troubled and not by feeling despair, but by knowing, after all, this is not as real as it appears to be. This is a momentary experience. We are here to learn, to grow, to gain experience. And this situation can be a challenge. And if we deal with it properly, then it's a possibility to really grow fast, enormously. But right here, the Atlatins who are more theoretical Atlatins, they have the tendency then to say, oh, this is all not real. I don't care because it's not real. Only consciousness is real. Yes, but that shouldn't make us put a barrier there. All these living beings are still there. The whole setup may not be as real as it appears, but the experience of people for the moment is real and is touching life. And if people are suffering, the solution is not that we just close ourselves and say, I don't want to see it. We don't have to run after it and hope to see misery everywhere, but we don't have to close our eyes when it's there, staring in our face. And then just doing it away and say, oh, it's not real, only consciousness is real, is not helping anyone, neither the one who is saying it nor those around. Yes, everything is the manifestation, the expression of consciousness, but not only consciousness, it's also love, and it's also the Shakti. And the love is that aspect of these three parts that manifest at the base, the consciousness, the love, and the energy. And the love is that aspect that connects everything in manifestation, that nothing is separate. And by trying to close our eyes and say, oh, it's not real, even if they suffer, it's not real, then our experience cannot expand. The experience is real. It's momentary, it changes, but for the moment, it's real. And people suffer. They suffer because of their own misunderstanding what they are, but still they suffer. And it's much more helpful for them and for us if we can see that they are suffering. But then That awareness that this is not as real as it appears can give us the strength that in spite of seeing that pain, in spite of seeing often people's despair, that we still can remain rooted in that which is not affected. We need not encourage people to go on suffering. We need not encourage people to go on falling into their self-pity, making the self-pity bigger. No, but we can encourage them that they get a glimpse of there is a strength. There is, no matter what is happening, there is still a strength there. There is something I can hold on to no matter what is happening. And that can become stronger and stronger. Circumstances won't necessarily immediately change, but the way how one is experiencing them is changing. And then unfavorable circumstances, they are just that part of that dream-like of existence that is unpleasant, that is unfavorable, that is often very terrible, that it's seen as a dream-like story. It comes, it's there, it goes. I am prior to that. This being, this beingness is not affected by it. It, it can be open and sensitive and feel the pain and see the pain of people, of beings that are in pain, that suffer. We need not somehow push it away, explain it away philosophically. We need not do this kind of protections. We can be open for that pain, for that suffering, but at the same time not get yanked out of the awareness and prior to that. They are also prior to that. And by being aware oneself, encouraging them not to fall into despair, not to get overwhelmed by self-pity, but to also connect with their own inner strength. That all is consciousness, that this is not as real, doesn't make us hard-hearted. So, on the contrary, if we really go into that, we become more aware. All right, it's relative, it's not an absolute reality, but it's still a reality experience, and we are one with it. We are connected with everybody, with everything. I'm asking again. Is there anyone who wants to say something? You are welcome to do so. Okay. It doesn't seem to be the case. Let's talk about another subject that is all the time in people's mind, and actually it's leaning in the same direction. It's love, compassion, and love. Love is a word that is also used in very different ways. There is certainly an emotion that is called love, but there is more than that emotion. There is something prior to emotions, and that is what I'm talking about when I say there is consciousness and love and energy. Love is that experience that we are connected. Now, when two people fall in love, there is a lot of emotion there. Nothing wrong with those emotions. They come, they go. But the emotion may open the heart, and then the emotions, they won't stay. That overwhelming feeling from being in love is there for some time, often euphoric, but it will cool down. Slowly, slowly, that overwhelming emotion will go. But then there is the space for love. The emotion may help to open the heart, but then one can become aware, there is something so much more profound than the emotional love. And then there is also a misunderstanding of the emotion that love. Often somebody thinks I love somebody so much, but actually it's more like I want to possess, I want to own that being, I want to own that animal, I want to be the one and the only who has the right to connect, because that has nothing to do with love, not even with the emotion love. It's just the desire, desire for the possession, desire to have something, desire, hoping that somebody is in my life and is there only for me, is somehow making me complete. It's not love. It's not even the emotion love. Actually, it comes out of a state of despair that one feels so unfulfilled. And then one should hold somebody, hold on to somebody, hold on to some animal, hold on to some possessions, loving that possession, they think. But it's just that wanting to feel complete, feeling afraid if that is not there, then I'm miserable, I'm incomplete, I cannot live without that. Now, the emotion love is already much more expensive. If there is somebody who felt in love, that feels so great, that emotion love. That's why people are so happy. They think the other person is making me happy, but it's mainly their own emotion, feeling in love that makes them so happy. It's a very pleasant emotion. But the emotions, they are not stable. We cannot fix an emotion and then it stays there in our experience. Emotions, by definition, keep on changing all the time. It is waves, they come, they go. And even somebody who is really, really head over heels in love, it will cool down that emotion. That's also then why people often are so disappointed. In the beginning, it looks like heaven, falling in love. It's so wonderful, paradise on earth. But gradually it cools down. When one is in love, then one feels like giving, radiating, letting that joyous energy that is being produced by that emotion flow out to that other person. And if it comes from both sides, who are so happy about it, thinking the happiness comes from the other person, but actually it's their own inner joyousness mainly. If on top of that, that energy comes from the other person, that is an extra. But these emotions, as all emotions, they change. And then slowly that euphoria goes. The paradise is not more so paradisical. And then the problem starts. And people start to wonder, she made me so happy, he made me so happy. What has happened? Why are they acting now like this? They are not more making me happy. And instead of giving, people start to demand and want something. Then they think, oh, I'm still in love, but actually I want something. It's not more love. It's not even the emotion love. It's just that I'm asking to get love. There comes the moment one has to become aware. Okay, if there is really love, it means to flow, let it flow, not to take. And if one becomes aware of that, then more and more that awareness to dawn, okay, but there is a love that is not emotional, that is not changing like the wind, that is not coming in waves. There is a love that is rooted in the awareness that we are connected. But then it becomes expansive. It's not restricted to one person. We may, in our role, have one person who is close, that has a special place in this game, in this role, in this human experience. But that real love, when we become aware what love is, that is just that awareness of being connected will be expanding and expanding. And not simply include one person, but all the living, feeling beings become in contact with. There are still people that who behave very unpleasant. One may be aware that basically we are connected and still go rather out of their way. It's nothing wrong with that because usually it's no point. They are not open to learn, to see what they are doing, to learn, and also let go of that and become closer to love. But we can love, and that love is like the sun. It's just radiating, not picking out this one and that one. This I like, this I don't like. It's just that awareness. We are rooted in that same essence. Nothing is separate. All is connected, and yet there is that multiplicity. Wonderful, beautiful, nothing wrong with that. There is the oneness, the one essence, and it's expressing itself in so many, many ways. And in this game, we can gain the experience and learn and grow. The being that is projecting into this game takes up a human form goes through that miraculous process of combining energy of consciousness, of love and love, energy and consciousness and love in that same physical form, experience that energetic interaction that is happening with, within themselves and then with the interaction with other beings like this. This is a miraculous experience and a total opportunity how the experience of that oneness can intensify and expand and grow. That's what we are here for. All is one, and yet there are so many ways how this oneness is manifesting. And love is that awareness that we are all connected, that we are not separate, that there is not somebody that is outside that oneness. Nothing wrong with people feeling in love emotionally, but it's good that they are aware there is something more profound than just the emotion. There is something much more profound than the physical attraction. There is something that is longing to be experienced and express itself, that awareness of being one essentially. And then automatically the interactions will be harmonious and creative and beautiful. So, like with compassion, real love makes us being aware of that aspect that is prior to emotions, that aspect that is not affected. The love aspect is also more the joyous part of that essence, that immovable essence is full of joy. The Buddhists call it emptiness, shunyata. It's empty of all that that makes us feel separate. But actually, that emptiness is full of joyousness, of beauty and creativity that is happy to have a possibility to express itself. When people fall in love and are so happy about it, they need not push away that happiness, but it's good to remind themselves my happiness actually comes out of myself. I'm not dependent, I'm not a slave, I'm completing myself. And it's wonderful that it can express itself so beautifully right now in this story, but I'm not dependent on that. And then one is free. All right, my friend. Again, I'm asking you, is there anyone who would like to say something? You're welcome to do so. Hello, Yosh.
Hello.
Hmm.
So I've been dealing actually since coming to Tiru, I've been kind of dealing with this persistent feeling that's like something you were describing earlier, like I mean it's not here 100% of the time. It's but it's just this feeling of like I don't know if I don't know, something just feels kind of off about being here. Like I don't know it's not that I'm not here for the right reasons, but that might be an aspect to it, or there's like elements to it that I just really want to kind of see and uncover so I can choose or decide if I need to do something differently, then I'm willing to, but I'm just getting very frustrated with uh not being able to kind of, I mean, just accept this feeling as being here. There's many things have happened kind of initiated by it. It's really driving a lot of the suffering's kind of been driving a lot of inquiry, a lot of kind of looking within, but it's still coming up. So yeah.
Right. That feeling that something is wrong, something is not right, it's not as it should be, and then it can easily turn into the feeling I'm in the wrong world. I'm not, what the heck am I doing here?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. But actually, we are in the right place at the right time.
Mm,
It's here in this form, in this world, where we can learn what we need to learn. And somewhere deep, you are aware of it. Something could be beautiful, could be harmonious. Actually, everybody has that awareness somewhere buried. People would like to be peaceful. People would like to be live in harmony. It's somebody everybody longs for, something that everybody longs for. But somehow the whole ignorance of their own self has created all those habits that we are living most of the time in tensions and not feeling in the right place, feeling something is wrong. But don't despair, don't worry, don't think, oh my God, I'm doing something totally wrong. It's good that you are aware that there is that nagging sensation sometimes. It's good that you are aware that actually something may be changed and corrected in order to be in that natural state. You may change external situations, external circumstances, but it won't necessarily change anything. It's something that has to change how we deal with our own consciousness, with our own sense of being alive, and that in relationship with all that is manifested here. You are in yourself a divine being, complete. Your happiness, your sense of harmony, your sense of peace comes out of yourself. But then we are looking beyond that, and then somehow we don't get what we would like to get, and then that feels off. But it's not that we have to change first the whole world, or maybe not even our circumstances in this world, but we have to look in the right direction. That what we are longing for is not somewhere up in a heaven, in a better world. That what we are looking for is here now. It's timeless. It's the essence of what we are. It's already here. We simply are not aware that it's here. We have learned to look, to put our attention on everything else. So somehow or other, just continue bring your attention back to yourself and learn to relax in that. And even if then, when that feeling comes that something is not right, then don't with the head brood over it and think, what's wrong, what could I change? But rather accept, okay, that feeling is there. It's also a feeling. It's also something that is changing. and see what it is doing to your experience right now, how it is affecting you, instead of plunging into that feeling and getting stuck into a current. Observe it. All right, there it is again, the feeling. See how it has the tendency to make the body tenser, like the energy is not flowing so freely. And when we see that, we can start to act on it by simply giving the command to the opposite. Let go, relax, relax, let go, relax. And then that feeling that has come up, they may stay for some more time, but if we keep on looking at it like this and consciously relaxing instead of fighting with it, or instead of wrecking our brain, what could I do about it? Trying to find a solution in the mind. If we redirect the attention, observe the feeling, and learn to see what it is doing to our experience right now, and then learn to let that go. Then energetically and physically, we already start to feel a little better. And then also the mental trouble that come out of it has the tendency to calm down.
Um, so right, yeah, that was good. Thank you.
If you want to add something, you can, but you don't have to. Hmm?
Uh, yeah, I suppose. So what you're saying is, it's not necessarily like the feeling isn't necessarily indicating something true. It's just a feeling within myself, a sense or an idea or belief or something that if kind of it's relaxed into, then I can recognize that yeah, the feeling doesn't indicate about whether I should or should not be in any particular location. It's just a it's just a feeling.
Just a feeling because we expect things to be right, and then often we have the feeling it's not right, and then this sense comes that something is wrong.
Mm,
At the same time, in the world, we can be reasonable. I mean, we don't have to put us unnecessarily into bad situations. We don't have to run after troubled spots and think, okay, I have to be capable of of dealing with that in such a way that I'm not becoming disharmonious. If sometimes we just are in circumstances that we don't like, and it happens, we cannot really do too much about it. And there it's good not to think, oh my God, I'm in the wrong place, I'm in the wrong place. Should I be here? Should I not do this? But then there we can learn to accept, okay, it's not my favorable situation, but still, this is on the program. This is what I'm experiencing right now, and accept that it is so, instead of rebelling against it and fighting with it and thinking it's wrong, it's wrong, it's wrong. Okay, here I am, things happening the way they are happening, but I need not get all tense over it. And if I become aware how much I have created tensions, physically, energetically, how much I have created tensions, there I can completely relax. And then the situation changed again. And just the fact that in spite of unfavorable circumstances, places that I would not have chosen, and still capable of remaining centered, connected consciously with that essence. Actually, that would be our natural way of living. That would be our natural state. If we are always aware of that, no matter what is happening, and aware that there is a fulfillment and a joyousness, there is something complete that cannot be affected. And that is more important than whether we are here or there in these circumstances or that circumstances, whether we are doing this kind of external work or another kind of external work. Let's do that which comes naturally, spontaneously, if we can. Let's do that which what we like to do. Let's do that which is a natural opening and talent that we can express that inner beauty. And that can be in very simple things, as a handicraftsman can do the job properly, and then they are expressing that inner harmony. You can be an artist, you can be a social worker and express your inner beauty in that way. It doesn't matter what exactly externally we are doing, as long as we are not going out and unnecessarily hurting living beings.
Hmm. Thanks.
Shall we leave it at that?
Yep. Sounds good.
Good. I wish you well. Hari Om.
Thank you. Carry on.
Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to comment? You are welcome to do so.
Hello.
Hello, Andreas.
Can you please explain again what's the difference when someone is in love and when someone feels like free and boundless? Because I had a discussion once with a teacher at university, and she claimed that, or she asked if like being in love is some kind of I don't know how to express it very well. Some kind of you're in a it moves you in the direction of enlightenment because you feel kind of boundless and in full of energy and stuff like that. And but I thought there's some sense of ego still in there. So can you explain it a little bit more in detail, please?
Right.
You basically did, but I'm not completely getting it.
Yes. I mean, if somebody falls in love and just is fully in that emotion, love, then it really can help to open the heart to be more sensitive and more open to that beauty of existence. Unfortunately, people fall in love, they mix in most of the time a lot of a sense of possession and expectations that I'm in love, but I expect that the partner I'm in love with makes me happy, and in order to make me happy, you must do this and this and this and this. And then it becomes not more so helpful to open your heart. But if there is that pure emotion of being in love, there is already such a joyousness in it that automatically it makes expand. But to be capable to be in love in such a pure way is already somebody who is very aware and not immediately clutters that emotion with all the other emotions, like I want this and I want that and I want satisfaction from that person. As long as it is pure giving, it's helpful, expansive. When the expectation creeps in, what I need to get out of it, what I can squeeze out of it, then it's not more helpful for your spiritual unfoldment. And as people are having the tendency to function like that most of the time, so many schools say it's better to be a monk or a nun, because then you have less distractions. If somebody falls in love and they start a life together, then of course there will be all kinds of problems that will not come to somebody who lives a monkish life. But that doesn't mean it is needed to live a life of a monk. What is needed for both of them, whether they are monks or nuns, or whether they are living a life in the stream of the society, what is needed is still that awareness, that alertness, that see what I'm doing to myself, see what is happening there, and then learn to address those things that create disharmony, that we learn to let them go, that they stop doing that on and on and on. So your teacher said being in love helps you on the way to enlightenment. If that would be so, that people are then in that pure emotion of love, there would be a giving and a radiance, and that certainly would help. Unfortunately, you look around and hardly anybody falls in love in such an ideal way, but there comes always that personal agenda in that spoils the thing.
So if you have the feeling that the love is answered from the other side, it's most of the times easier, right, to open up and spread love. But I mean, this shows already the egoistic impulse in it, isn't it?
Right. Of course, that the expectation is there in nearly everybody. And the tendency is that one wants to express that love, so something has to come from the other side, because otherwise it doesn't work. But yes, of course, as long as we are functioning from the level of the ego, then no matter what we are doing or not doing, that coloration is always there. But we can be alert and learn to let it go and let it go, or not be alert and just strengthen and crystallize that even more, that egoistic way of thinking, feeling, acting, and reacting. You cannot just one day decide, okay, from now on, I'm acting and I'm feeling without the ego. The old habit will always come in, and we will repeat the same structures of emotions and actions and all the strategies how to deal with the situation to get the best out of it. This will come in out of old habit. But if that awareness is there, then we become aware. Oh, it's happening again. It's there. And there we can start to detach from it.
As you described life in partnership, it sounds like there are a lot of possibilities to learn stuff and face your own, I don't know, hang-ups.
Yes, sure, definitely. Again, it needs that willingness and that alertness to do so, because it's so easy then in the partnership after some time, when the first euphoric time has gone, then start to focus and start to focus on little details and make the partner responsible for all the troubles that are happening for you. And that then it's a hard thing. Then it's a slow and painful process, that learning process. If one has the tendency always to make the others responsible for me if I'm not happy. And many times this starts to happen then in the partnership. And then they start to the to and fro. That is very unpleasant. And everybody wonders where has that beauty gone that was there in the beginning. And then now it's just mainly that clashing, clashing, clashing. What is important is that if I'm feeling not well, if something doesn't go right, that I'm not immediately starting to look out and see what are they doing wrong that I'm not right, but look at myself and see what I'm doing to myself, and then learn to let that go instead of looking for somebody else who is responsible, that I'm not feeling so wonderful. And in a partnership, it can happen so easily that the partner is always near, so it's always easy to blame the partner for anything that is happening. If there is alertness, if there is awareness, and if two people are together, sooner or later there come tensions. Two minds have different ideas about things, and there come tensions. And if we have that alertness and that awareness that we are looking at ourselves and see what am I doing with those tensions? How can I let them go? How can I remove that which disturbs the harmony in the situation? Then definitely a partnership can teach you a lot about yourself and about our own hang-ups, and put the fingers on the buttons where we have the tendency to react.
And on the other side, if you live a more secluded life, isn't there the danger that you just you stay in a certain comfort zone without really confronting your hang-ups? Or that if I mean if you don't feel good, then that you think, oh, I have to change the environment a little bit, it's because, oh yeah, something is not wrong in the setting or in the place. Yeah, and to look for external explanations again.
Of course, that tendency is there. If one has rather a secluded life, then all those confrontations don't happen that are happening when two people live in the same space, or a whole family lives in the same space. And then it depends whether we are willing to be alert and look at ourselves. And if we refuse to do so, then it may go very slowly, but life will come sooner or later and shake the tree. And you will have less distractions living a secluded life, but you have less incentive to have to work on yourself, because exactly you can make it relatively comfortable. But if we have the tendency to get stuck in that comfort zone, then destiny will come sooner or later and shake the whole thing up, and then we have to confront again more difficult situations. If we take the trouble to be alert, to see what's going on inside, to honestly look at ourselves, we can avoid a lot of troubles. If we refuse to do so, then somehow destiny always finds way to simply point out again and again, and often in very painful ways.
Okay.
Okay.
Making yourself too comfortable or making it the main focus.
A moment I haven't heard you, I don't know whether it was my connection or your connection, but I think,
Yeah, I don't know neither. Today, the connection seems to be bad sometimes. I don't know on which side it is.
yeah,
But my questions have been answered.
very good. Hari Om, Hari Om. No matter in what situation we are, it comes always to that. Are we honest with ourselves? Are we willing to have an honest, good look at ourselves? Are we willing to confess to ourselves, okay, here actually I'm creating trouble. I have been creating trouble all the time in my life with certain mechanisms. Are you willing to look at it and take the responsibility and not think, oh, it's because of them, it's because of the world, it's because of the upbringing, the parents, the circumstances, but see, okay, I'm doing that to myself. If that sincerity is there, then in all the circumstances, everything can help us to learn, to grow, to outgrow certain things. If we refuse to look at, then somehow life's destiny will come and point it out again and again. And sometimes it needs painful reminders until we start to be willing to look at it. But this is so whether one lives alone or whether one lives in a couple, whether one lives in a family, in a community, in a living together with a bunch of people in the same space or alone. If that willingness, that honesty, that sincerity is there to look at ourselves first and see what's going on and learn to let go, then anything can always help us. Anything can always point at the thing that we should look at. And it's up to us whether we take those pointers. There's some more time if we want. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? Hello, Dial.
Hello, Werner. In Buddhism Theravada, they speak about enlightenment as very rare, very difficult to get stages. But they speak there's different stages before complete liberation, before enlightenment. And one of these stages they call Sotopami. That means the person who gets such stage, he will not be reborn in the hell or in the animals, and he will be developing very quickly, and maximum 7 life, this person will get final liberation. So do you know about such stages? Do you met such people who come to these stages when he's get rid from all bad karma and start developing very quickly.
Mhm. Actually, I never am too much in favor about all these categories at all. Because people are different and one can certain aspects can have dealt with them already very successful, and other aspects they may still need some work, while another person may have already dealt very successful with the things I'm still struggling with, but they may have still troubles I have already overdone and then I've already overcome. So for me, this is never something I'm taking very serious about all these stages. I can understand that the traditional teaching has developed this kind of structure because it gives the people inspiration to work on themselves. It gives them a certain stability, but I don't think they have really very absolute truth in it. when when you are sincere with yourself, and whenever you remember, you connect with yourself, then you are doing your duty and you need not somehow put yourself in a drawer. Now I'm at this stage. But to the other question about being free from being reborn in hell or as an animal or maybe in an unfavorable human situation, I don't believe, like many traditions do believe, in that compulsion. I think that if you, the being that is now projected here and appears as dial, if that consciousness is withdrawn in yourself, in that being that is at the base of it, that being has the freedom to decide whether it wants to project again into this world or in any other world or in what form. It is not such a iron hard rule that like eye for an eye that if we do some bad thing, I have to be reborn, that the same bad thing can be done to me, and I have to learn on and on and on painfully through all this. This is a theory that keeps people in line. That if they think that if I'm behaving bad, I'm creating bad karma and have to be born again, and so they will think twice to do bad things. It's certainly more expensive than what the church tells us, that either you are good and you believe in Jesus and then you are in heaven forever, or you are bad and then you go to hell forever. These are just the two solutions. This is also a way of keeping people alive in line with their fear, and the whole reincarnation and karma teaching is more expensive than that, but it's still somewhat a bit in the same line, that it gives people a structure to think and a direction, that if the thought is there, I have to do good things, I have to lift myself on a good level and not to do bad things, otherwise I will be born again in a bad situation and suffer hell for it. That helps people to behave. And how can we behave in order to become more conscious what we are doing? So it's pointing in the right direction, but at the same time, I don't take all those teachings so much to the letters, neither the whole reincarnation and karma thing, nor the whole levels that certain school are making, that this level is like this level is like that. People are very, consciousness is very dynamic and flexible, and it's the process functions differently in different manifestations in different people.
But actually, I think to have a choice after that, it's very high level, as they describe in how to call this book, that of book of that Tibetan book of that. They describe after that we come into our unconsciousness mind, and all the emotions comes up. And if there's very strong emotion, we just don't have a choice. We just follow by this emotion in this special stage after that. And most of people have no choice. They just go and moving because they have strong emotions in pulling them.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I don't want to argue with you about your beliefs. If you feel good with that and it helps you to make yourself alert, then it's fulfilling its purpose. What counts
Okay.
What counts is that we are living here now, alert, consciously conscious. That after all, this teaching also tries to push you to that, to help you to be alert because you don't want to die in a certain way that compels you to go to things that you don't want to.
Yes, yes. Okay, Werner, thank you, Hariom.
Hariom, Hariom.
Yeah.
Yes?
May I ask you about the thing that Dial just mentioned, the Sotapanna? It's called, yeah, that you only return like 7 times. I mean, I don't believe so much in like it's exactly 7 times that we return or so, but couldn't it be the way that sometimes you say sometimes the feeling of consciousness or presence moves sinks in so deeply that it doesn't go away?
Yeah.
And couldn't be that like the Sotapanna, the person that is not reborn more than 7 times, that it means like if you have something like that, then you don't fall into certain bad karma situations anymore, so that you don't get reborn in a very gross and hell realm. Please say something to that.
I think even now you are not born. Even now you are not incarnated. What is born is that ID. And that ID has grown into a person and is called Andreas. But you, what you are, even now, you are not incarnated. And so, since you are not born now, there is also no birth before, no birth after. But that being that is projecting that what is needed, that Andreas can manifest now, that being may decide to project again. So I don't want to refute, but I cannot just say, okay, this means like this and like that, because I don't give too much importance to all these kind of theories. Like you get at that level, and then after 7 lives, you will be fully liberated. You, as a being of what you are always free.
Okay, thank you for that reminder. But I take it as an. Do you hear me?
Didn't
I
hear
take
you
it as an
all.
impulse not to. Okay, I didn't
Yeah.
say anything because I noticed. I take it as an impulse to not to take these descriptions too literally,
Yeah.
and to reflect on this notion of rebirth and reincarnation. And but my question was that yeah, as you described, I'm not really born, and but the Buddha describes it on other occasions differently. That like certain fetters, some kind of like stains, some kind of mental mistakes, or getting lost over the time.
Yeah.
And in this first step, you lose like three fetters, three false notions, and one of the notions is that the identification with the I, so that you don't have that anymore. And this seems to me like a significant step. If you and can this happen that you lose this, and then if this stays, that makes the mistake of feeling that I'm identified with myself isn't so strong anymore.
Yes, right. That you are not identified with the person, but with yourself. That's the difference between the terminology of the Vedanta and the Buddhism. He talks about the self and means the person, and
Yeah.
here they talk about the self as the essence.
Yes.
So, right. But right, of course, it points always in that direction that we disidentify from that which makes us feel separate and small, and bring the attention back to that and get rooted in that which is not separate, which is connected with all there is and which is expansive.
Yeah. And isn't there a certain moment or certain yeah when this stays like permanently,
Right.
so that you don't.
Right.
And I think this might be that what the Buddha calls sotapanna, the first step into the direction of enlightenment.
It's certainly a remarkable step, that's for sure. I'm not too familiar with the exact theories of the Buddha, and on top of that, I know that the different Buddhist schools, they give also different interpretations.
Yeah, but I would expect that you know this by experience.
Right, but that doesn't mean that I have to adhere to calling that in one way or another. Making it a step. But of course, once you know from your experience, and even if you are living and sometimes superficially that involvement is there, quite strong, but deep down that awareness doesn't go away, that there is that aspect that is absolutely not affected, that there is that aspect that is pure and pristine. In spite of all that, then the whole thing becomes a play. Then you don't get incarnated in hell means for me that you are not more creating your health in your life. That you, because in a way, every moment you are dying and being reborn, you can say. And so if that awareness is there, that not simply because of a glimpse, not simply as a theory, but even when it's hard in life, that deep down you feel all this is not so important because there is that which is not affected, then that is sure great liberation compared to being a slave, a subject of that belief that me and the others and all that separation.
Okay.
Okay, we leave it at that, huh?
Thank you very much. Ayo.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. I'm not contesting any religious theories that they are wrong. I just think we should not take them too serious. They have basically the intent to lead us in the right direction, but we need not take all that too literally. I see Kristen is come in. You want to say
Yes.
something, Kristen?
Yeah, if we have some more time, because when you started talking with Andreas and you said this, actually, we are not really incarnated.
Yeah.
When you say that, it gives me such an ease and peace. It's like it just strikes something in me that knows that, and it's very beautiful. Unfortunately, it doesn't stay. And I'm still dealing with this anxiety. Now the embassy has had my passport for 3 weeks, and they're not just giving me the visa. And I have to travel on next Saturday.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to kind of visualize. Now I'm packing, and I have called some people in Tiru, and I made my arrangement as if I'm going. But it seems there's some issue at the embassy, maybe because of a Danish terrorist from the 70s. They are not giving the visa. I don't know. But I have been in this kind of anxiety and then anxiety release for now 3 weeks since it started. Yeah. And I just felt like connecting with you and the Sangha, and maybe together we can send some positive vibrations to the Danish embassy or the Indian embassy in Denmark.
Yes.
That they will
because right
visa.
now your visa is again not given.
It's not given. I gave it in for more than 3 weeks ago, and usually the procedure takes 4 days. Because I'm traveling on a business visa, I need to go to the embassy because I do the yoga classes in India.
Yeah.
With my Danish groups.
Yeah.
Usually there's no issue, but this year there's a big issue, and I've been going to the embassy 3 times. I have been mailing them, and no result.
Uh-huh. So we all send a lot of good wishes that your visa will come, and
Yes.
until the visa comes, then you have a good challenge to deal with the with the anxiety that wants to come.
Yes.
That superficially it may make you excited, but deep down there is something that is not touched by it. No matter what is happening, sooner or later they'll give you. Maybe you may have to change the travel plans, but I guess they sooner or later will give you the visa, huh? Yes, we shall see you again here in Tiruvannamalai.
Thank you, Werner.
You are welcome. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. This world is not as real as it appears. It's like when we dream in the night, when we are in the dream, we have the tendency to look at it as totally real. When we wake up, we think, no, it was just a dream, it was not real. But then it's possible to dream and to become aware. I'm dreaming. And then even if the dream is very testing and not harmonious, it cannot affect us because deep down I know this is just a dream. I'm not incarnated in this dream. It's just a story that goes on and I can learn from it. And this waking life is this very similar. We can wake up to the fact that even now I'm not really incarnated in this world. This is a projection like a dream-like projection. It comes, it goes, but that which matters is not a subject who, no matter what is happening, is ever free. So we can wake up in this waking dream to that fact that no matter what is happening, I'm free and complete, unaffected by whatever is going on. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.